Shikellamy High School JROTC instructor Rich Cassem spoke during a Veterans Day ceremony on Thursday in Cameron Park in Sunbury.
After the First World War, my paternal grandparents, Sammy and Nabiha Cassem, immigrated to the United States from Lebanon in search of a respite from the physical and political fighting in the Middle East. They arrived just in time for World War II, and my grandfather answered the call to duty, serving in Africa as a medical sergeant in the United States Air Corps, the United States Army Air Corps. Later they had three sons, my father Richard and my uncles Bobby and Roger. Uncle Roger was too young, but Dad and Uncle Bobby were drafted concurrently to serve in Vietnam. I don't know if Nabiha, or Sittu as I called her, ever questioned her decision to come to the United States, but I do know that the only things she loved more than her new country were her husband and her son, and she watched hopefully as each one went off to war. My maternal grandparents were second-generation Americans from Dublin, Pennsylvania. Opa served as a pilot in World War II, first in the United States Army Air Corps, and later in the newly minted United States Air Force. My brother Chris and I grew up surrounded by veterans. It never occurred to us that there were people in the United States who were not veterans. So naturally, we both enlisted. Now today marks the 100th anniversary of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. For a century now, tomb guards have walked the line, defending the honor and dignity of those who sacrificed their lives for their friends, families, and country, but have no one to tell their respective stories. Theirs is a collective story, the story of the American spirit. Theirs is the story of young men and women who heard the undeniable call to serve, whose souls were swift, and whose feet were jubilant at the opportunity to serve us, to fight for us, to suffer for us, and if necessary, to die for us. I sometimes hear people complain that this young generation of Americans does not have an appreciation for traditional American values, that they have not been taught a respect for servicemen and women, that they could not care less about what I did in Iraq, or what my brother did over in Afghanistan, what my brother did over Afghanistan, or what my father and uncle did in the swamps of Vietnam, or what my grandfathers did on and over the battlefields of the European and African theaters. None of my four kids, and neither of my two nephews have served in the military yet, but Chris and I have tried to raise them with a strong sense of patriotism and a respect for those who serve. And those are not my only kids. To my right and to my left, you see the Shikellamy School District Corps of Cadets, Task Force Braves. These cadets are my kids too. And let me tell you, they perform ceremonies at Veterans Day and Memorial Day services. They march in parades honoring veterans. They maintain the shrine to Sergeant Brett Swank in our classroom. They feed hungry vets at the VFW each month and engage those vets in attentive conversation, listening to their stories, learning their lessons, and sharing their aspirations for their own futures. These cadets do not represent a generation of self-serving slackers. When I look into their eyes, I see the eyes of my grandfathers, my uncle, and my dad, and my brother. When they smile, I see the souls of the unknown smiling at me. When they speak, I hear the voice of my grandmother reassuring me that she does not regret for 1 minute immigrating to the United States of America 80 years ago.